Cemeteries are way too expensive, so I stashed my dad's ashes in a bank safe deposit box. Little did I know, a month later, this genius move of squeezing the bank for a bargain would blow up on the trending lists, and the very next day, I received a lawsuit summons from the bank. The bank manager even threw down the gauntlet, saying if I didn't come take it away, he'd grind the old man's ashes into his rice. All this started a month ago when the old man suddenly fell ill and passed away. I gathered with a few childhood buddies from the orphanage. We managed to scrape together a funeral for him. With burial looming, I scoured dozens of cemeteries. Tens of thousands to over 100,000 for a plot. I was stunned on the spot. I just graduated from college. Living off meager earnings from streaming, facing such an astronomical sum, I was utterly helpless. And the rent had to be paid in 5-year chunks, tougher than a mortgage. Just when I was at my wit's end, an old classmate working at the bank, Jie, called me up. Bro, safe deposit boxes are the real deal. Safe and sound, only $280 a year. Hearing that, a light bulb went off in my head. I quickly pressed, "Can I put anything in there?" The person on the other end clearly hesitated. Then he answered vaguely, "Except for flammable, explosive, toxic, or hazardous contraband, you can put in anything else. Do me a favor, getting my full-time job depends on this one deal." Hearing his pleading, I tested the waters and asked, "Well, can I put in an urn?" As soon as I said that, the other end fell dead silent. After a long pause, he gritted out a single word, "Fine." So, Jie and I agreed to meet at a hot pot restaurant. On the table in plain sight sat a black plastic bag containing the old man's urn. Jie buried his head in his tea, but his eyes kept darting to the bag, his facial muscles twitching. He felt nothing but absurdity. The atmosphere was undeniably awkward. Luckily, I was streaming live so I could chat with the audience while eating hot pot. Once they learned what I was planning, the number of viewers in my livestream broke 1,000 for the first time. The comments exploded. "Streamer, you're squeezing the bank dry. Storing ashes in a safe deposit box. What a wicked idea. Only you could come up with that." Within the time it took to finish one meal, the lease contract and authorization agreement were signed. Jie immediately took the black bag and said in a low voice, "It's settled. If I keep it here for now, I'll deposit it later tonight." I quickly nodded in agreement. At that moment, a huge weight lifted off my shoulders. Everyone will be your night watchman. Now that's some epic treatment. Right then, deep in my mind, a cold system prompt suddenly chimed in. "Your new system task has been triggered. In 1 month, the host will be sued by the bank. You must do your utmost to handle this lawsuit." Hearing this, my eyes rolled back, and I fell backward stiff as a board. Everyone in the restaurant panicked instantly. The 1,000+ viewers in the livestream were terrified. What's wrong with the streamer? Just when we thought the old man found a good feng shui spot, now he's about to send himself off too. Everyone scrambled around. After 10 minutes of first aid, I slowly came to, still mumbling to myself. What a scam of a system. In a month, I'll be in court? System. Can I just skip this one? I'll go pull the ashes out and scatter them in a river. The system replied coldly, "Everything is final. The host can choose to quit, but the bank's safe deposit box cannot be empty. Either the old man stays, or the host takes his place." Hearing that, my heart turned to ash, and I had no choice but to accept it. A month later, a routine internal bank inspection shattered the peace. News of a cremation urn found in a bank safe deposit box instantly topped the trending lists. Videos of the incident spread like wildfire. Word had it that the moment the door opened, several female employees broke down crying in shock. As for the culprit, Jie, he was promptly fired. A few female bank employees sobbed in front of the cameras. "We fought tooth and nail to get into this job, and now we're night watchmen for a pile of bones." My live stream exploded too. Since I had broadcast the whole thing live earlier, word spread like wildfire. My phone nearly blew up with fan calls. I casually clicked a link a fan had sent. Under a bold headline, there were over 70,000 hot comments. I took a close look. The comment section was sharply divided. Some joked, "This guy is a total beast for renting the box, squeezing the bank for all it's worth." Other netizens spoke up, "What's the big deal with the bank? They expanded their business themselves. The lease contract is all there. He didn't break any law. He can put whatever he wants in the box. What right does the bank have?" Even angrier netizens with a grudge against the bank seized the chance. "What's this? Banks have pulled way weirder stunts. Remember that bank that insisted a depositor prove? My mom is my mom? Why isn't anyone talking about that? The money you take from the bank is still the bank's money. Only the money in the bank is truly yours." One incident after another. How many times has the bank treated us depositors like fools? My loyal fans started to worry about my future and fate. "Host, would the bank do something shady to my old man's ashes?" like force terminate the contract? Or mix sand into the ashes? Facing all the netizens' concerns, I remained as steady as a mountain. I calmly spoke up. Brothers, listen to me. Everyone worries the bank will harm my old man's ashes. On that, I can tell you responsibly, they wouldn't dare even with 10 times the guts. I cleared my throat and continued analyzing with clear logic. First, the contract is written clearly in black and white. Anything non-hazardous and non-prohibited can be stored. Are ashes considered prohibited items? Second, given that premise, what right does the bank have to unilaterally tear up the contract? Just because they think ashes might bring bad luck? Well, sorry. Civil law defines it plainly. Terminating or rescinding a contract on grounds of feudal superstition or bad luck holds zero legal effect. As for those worried the bank might grind my dad's ashes to dust, or mix them with water, if they actually did that, the nature of the matter would change completely. It would escalate directly from a civil dispute to a criminal case. Article 302 of the criminal law states, clearly, theft, desecration, or destruction of ashes carries a sentence of up to 3 years. Bank employees are all iron rice bowl types. Do you really think they'd have the nerve to knowingly break the law? This barrage of well-reasoned legal knowledge rained down, and the livestream fans were instantly dazzled by my smooth talk. The comments exploded. Awesome. Then I'm going to store my great-grandma's ashes too. Watching the frantic scrolling comments, I casually turned my head toward the internally styled, sci-fi pure gold phone beside me, thinking to myself, if the bank really dares to mess around, as a mere nobody, I naturally wouldn't have the confidence to go head-to-head with a giant. But this phone, that's my biggest trump card for standing up to them. This is a divine artifact from the system's diamond chest, a supermodern multifunctional phone with 6 linked screens and 36 icons corresponding to 36 incredible functions. Right now, only one is unlocked, a web search. The rest of the icons are dim gray, but this function alone is astounding enough. When I first got it, I tested it. I casually typed in Ash's box, and it pinpointed every relevant person with precision, from name, address, and background down to the color of their underwear that day. After verifying the phone's capabilities, I tried searching the town's bank. The results were jaw-dropping. From the branch manager to the security auntie, everyone's info was there. Even core secrets like the bank's business accounts and capital reserves were laid bare. It's precisely because I have this ultimate weapon that I have the guts to challenge the bank. Meanwhile, a certain female department head at the bank was staring intently at my livestream replay. Watching my well-reasoned analysis in the video, her face instantly turned as pale as paper. She slumped into her office chair, then erupted in fury and ordered, "Notify manager Ma immediately. Double all the compensation terms in the termination contract. Once revised, publish it across the entire network." Seeing leadership's thunderous rage, the staff's efficiency shot to max. Before long, the bank made the revised termination contract public. The contract not only demanded a public apology and blacklisting me but also required me to pay $600,000 in emotional damages. But I'd already made up my mind. For such unreasonable demands from the bank, I must not show even the slightest leniency. This calm and composed demeanor left many fans utterly amazed. "Host, you can still smile?" I spoke with a steady face. "Brothers, I appreciate your worry about me being saddled with huge compensation, but I can tell you clearly, I won't pay a single cent of this unjust money, and I have no reason to. Besides, on what grounds does the bank claim damages from me? I stored my father's ashes, no violation, no crime. The bank unilaterally breached the contract first. If anyone breached, it's them. Civil law states it plainly. Only when one party fails to perform obligations or performs not in accordance with the agreement, causing losses, do they pay compensation. I believe the bank, with its professional legal team, definitely understands this. So this announcement is purely their scare tactic, trying to force me into submission." As the words fell, the gold phone on the table let out an abrupt ring. I immediately glanced at my phone screen and then said to the camera, "Don't go anywhere, guys. Later, I'm heading out to meet a mysterious person." A few minutes later, the live stream restarts, and the camera view switches to a bustling outdoor street. Amid the curious gazes of fans, I reached out and hailed a passing taxi. The driver was a middle-aged guy, simple and honest-looking, the kind who seems straightforward. Seeing me holding a gimbal mount, the driver curiously struck up a conversation. "Young man, are you live streaming?" I smiled and replied, "What's up? Do you usually watch live streams, big brother?" The driver quickly shook his head. "I don't have time for that. It's my wife who's into it. She stays up all night watching. A few years back, she was crazy about square dancing. Now she doesn't even dance anymore. She's hooked on watching streams and tipping. Lately, she's been acting strange again. Every few days she goes out to get her hair done, and she's gone for hours, but I can tell her hairstyle hasn't changed at all. Hearing the driver's non-stop complaints, I couldn't help but pause. Getting her hair done? Is that the kind of innocent hairstyling I'm thinking of? In the end, I couldn't resist my nosy curiosity and felt I should offer a friendly hint. Big brother, maybe you should spend more time and effort on your wife. At this, the driver grinned innocently. It was hard to tell if he really took it in. Just then, my phone suddenly rang loudly. I answered, and an arrogant voice came through. Lin Bei, right? I'm Manager Ma from the bank. I'm calling you today for one reason. I'm officially notifying you. By sunset today, you must take your father's ashes and the safe deposit box contract out of here. Manager Ma's tone was very harsh. I could smell the arrogance wafting through the phone. Anger flared up in me, and I immediately shot back. Who the hell do you think you are to boss me around? I stored those ashes with a signed legal contract in black and white. As long as I haven't violated any terms, not even a god can force me to take them out. Who are you? Can you speak for the entire bank? There was silence on the other end. Clearly I'd left him speechless. After a few dead seconds, he spoke through clenched teeth. Anyway, our bank's contract termination notice is already posted online. Before you refuse to comply, you'd better read the contract terms carefully and think it over. I curled my lip in disdain. Sorry, but I already read that crappy contract. It's your bank that's in breach. I'm standing straight and doing things right. You still want compensation from me? Dream on. Seeing my attitude, Manager Ma shouted furiously. Since you refuse a toast and prefer a penalty, then wait for the court summons. After hanging up, the taxi drove for another 10+ minutes and came to a steady stop in front of an unremarkable small supermarket. From a distance, I spotted a man squatting by the wall of the supermarket, holding a bundle, and looking utterly dejected. I raised my phone mount and strode over quickly. I tentatively called out, Li Dong. The man jerked his head up at the sound. His face was streaked with tears. It's me, Brother Bei. Are you really sure you can find a stable place for my father to be buried? He spoke cautiously as he carefully lifted a corner of the bundle, revealing the dark black urn inside. I gave his shoulder a firm pat. Full of confidence, I assured him, don't worry, I'll absolutely find a safe and reliable place for your father. Hearing this, a flash of joy briefly lit up Li Dong's eyes, but it was quickly drowned by deep sorrow. But I don't have any money. I can't afford even a regular cemetery, let alone an expensive one. His words resonated with me. I was once driven to the same dead end. If it weren't for that, who would store ashes in a bank? Don't worry, you can definitely afford this place. I vowed confidently. Li Dong stared at me with suspicion. What's the price exactly? I calmly held up 3 fingers. Seeing that, the light in Li Dong's eyes instantly dimmed. 3,000 a year? That is cheap, but I still can't afford it. I smiled and shook my head. What are you thinking? Not 3,000. It's 300 a year, and it's absolutely legitimate and reliable. As soon as I said that, Li Dong's eyes went wide in shock. He asked in disbelief at that price, is it safe? Put your mind at ease. The security level is practically top of the line in the cemetery world. Legal contract in black and white, a major institution with official backing. Li Dong immediately looked as if he'd grasped a lifeline. He grabbed my arm tightly. Then what are we waiting for? Let's go. Forget 300, I'd rent it for 500. Give me 10 years first. I smiled and calmed him down. Take it easy, brother. That prime spot isn't going anywhere. But before we go, I need to get something straight with you, I said, pretending to adjust the equipment. I tapped the screen a few times, quietly cutting the livestream audio. The viewers in the room noticed the sound was gone. They were furiously cursing in the chat. On screen, Li Dong, holding the urn directly, finished listening to my whisper. His expression shifted uneasily, as if locked in a fierce internal struggle. A few minutes later, the microphone came back on. The hesitation in Li Dong's eyes quickly turned into determination. All right, I'll do whatever you say. When exactly do we do it? I'll wait for your word. After bowing gratefully several times, Li Dong turned and left, clutching his father's urn. I watched his retreating figure. The livestream room went wild. Damn, look at his mouth. That guy really agreed to send his dad into the bank vault. I glanced at the chat. I casually flagged down another taxi, slid into the back seat, and then explained to my fans with a feigned tough tone. Don't jump to conclusions, everyone. I didn't do anything. I came out today just to catch up with an old friend. That's all. If anyone dares to pin a false charge on me, they'll really be looking at some time. The criminal law clearly states, fabricating facts to frame someone, intending to subject them to criminal prosecution. If the circumstances are serious, it's up to 3 years in detention or criminal surveillance. You all think it over. The fans were speechless. But the next second, a smirk appeared on my face. An extremely punchable grin. But hey, guys like Li Dong, brothers in hardship, I got plenty more. Keep your eyes peeled, folks. The show is just getting started. But someone immediately questioned, the bank isn't full of idiots. You might get away with exploiting that loophole once. No way they'll let you keep bouncing back and forth. I squinted and smiled mysteriously. The wise man has his tricks. Just sit tight and watch, dear viewers. Then the camera zoomed in. I dialed a number. A familiar voice came through the phone. Damn. Lin Bei, you still dare to call me? At those words, old fans instantly recognized the voice on the other end. It was the unlucky classmate, who had helped me with the ashes storage business before. The live stream chat burst into teasing. Running into a classmate like this streamer is really bad luck. At that moment, Du Jie on the other end of the line sounded like a wronged wife. He kept nagging me about the urn. Then he changed the topic and said, old classmate, I've already been kicked out of the bank. Let me be blunt. If you need something, I'm really powerless. I grinned and shot back. If you hadn't been begging me to rent that safe deposit box, would I ever have come up with the crazy idea of storing ashes in the bank? You're being really unfair saying that now. Back when you were chasing your sales target. How did I treat you? To support you, I gritted my teeth and rented a box. But now, before I even open my mouth, you're already saying no. Do you know how much that hurts? Du Jie was both angry and amused. Support me? You just wanted a cheap burial plot for your dad. That box rental was only $200 a year, right? And the meal I treated you to once cost $250. Thanks a lot, really. I interrupted him impatiently. Enough nonsense. Just say yes or no. Half an hour later, at the usual spot, Fei Fei Yang Hot Pot. Same familiar table, but this time, the old man's urn was missing from the table. The atmosphere was a bit awkward. Remembering that Du Jie lost his job because of me, I felt a little guilty, but Du Jie took it in stride. That so-called iron rice bowl at the bank. Everyone else cherishes it, but he never cared. For one thing, his family wasn't short on money. For another, the job looked glamorous but was a mess behind the scenes. Besides, he knew full well at the time that I was storing an urn. He was just blinded by his sales target. We silently ate a slice of meat. I broke the silence first and explained why I came. After hearing me out, Du Jie cursed me out on the spot. Old classmate, you're really not being fair. With all this heat right now, who in the bank would dare take your business? I calmly picked up another slice of lamb. Just help me find someone. Whether it works out is another story. Hearing that, Du Jie helplessly gave me a thumbs up and gritted his teeth. You're ruthless. Then without another word, he pulled out his phone and dialed. Hey Xiao Wu, your big brother here has a huge deal to boost your sales. You interested? Really? Brother Jie. Xiao Wu was overjoyed on the other end. Brother Jie, you're so generous. Even after quitting, you still look out for your bros. By the way, who's the client? Du Jie glanced up at me. He calmly uttered two words. Lin Bei. As soon as he spoke, Xiao Wu on the other end of the line instantly turned pale. Damn, I treat you like my own brother, and you pull a fast one on me? He hung up with a click. Listening to the dead tone, Du Jie spread his hands helplessly. See that? It's not that I won't help. The moment they hear your name, they're scared stiff. Your reputation at the bank now is already infamous. Seeing I wasn't fazed, for the next half hour, Du Jie pestered every former colleague in his contacts. Without exception, the second they heard the name Lin Bei, they hung up like they were dodging the plague. In the live stream room at that moment, tens of thousands of viewers were laughing and cussing. Du Jie tossed his phone onto the table. With a face full of frustration, you heard it too, buddy. I did my best. They won't take the call and I can't do anything about it. But I looked completely relaxed, with no sign of disappointment. Instead, I smiled and comforted him. Old classmate, don't take it to heart. If it doesn't work out, no big deal. It's not like I'd blame you. Still, after a few seconds of silence, I tapped on the screen and muted the live stream again. The fans in the room saw this, and their composure shattered once more, cursing loudly. But this mute move pushed the fans' curiosity to the absolute limit. Meanwhile, in the bank office, Director Wu sat grandly behind his desk, while Manager Ma stood ramrod straight before him. Reporting, Director, I don't think we need to be polite with this guy. You should have heard how nasty that kid's attitude was. I barely got through on the phone, and he started cursing right away, saying the bank is nothing, and he'll bring it down. What else? Director Wu asked, his face red with anger. What else did he say? Manager Ma paused, then piled it on. He also said if we want him to take the urn, the bank's top brass would have to kneel and beg him. At that, Director Wu's fury exploded. He roared, that bastard. He must be tired of living. Notify the legal department right now. We're filing a lawsuit today. I'll make sure he gets what's coming to him. Manager Ma quickly nodded in agreement, a flash of smug triumph in his eyes. He turned to leave, but Director Wu called him back, lost in thought. Isn't Xiao Lu from HR related to someone at the court? Manager Ma caught on instantly. Right. Xiao Lu's uncle is the third in command at the court. Director Wu let out a cold smirk. He ordered, tell Xiao Lu to come to my office. If he wants to fight the bank, I'll see how long that punk can keep strutting. That evening, at a private kitchen restaurant, at the head of the table sat an imposing middle-aged man, the third in command of the court, with Bank Director Wu and heads of several major law firms. As company, after rounds of drinks and dishes, a shady deal was struck amidst the clinking glasses. The banquet ended. On the way back to town, the accompanying manager Ma flattered obnoxiously, brilliant, absolutely brilliant, Director. When it comes to handling people, you're unmatched. Director Wu, expression calm, took a sip of tea and asked, how's that thing I asked you to handle? Rest assured, the lawsuit has been filed, and I've greased every law firm in town. In this case, I guarantee that kid won't find a single lawyer. Director Wu nodded with satisfaction. Both the court and the law firms are blocked off. I'd like to see what he can use to fight me. Just then, his phone rang abruptly. The director pulled it out, and his face instantly tightened. What the hell have you idiots been doing? The bank president's furious. Roar came through. I told you to deal with the earn issue. It's been this long. Why is that damn thing still sitting in the bank? Director Wu quickly explained. President, give me a bit more time. I promise I'll handle it soon. Promise my ass. The president cut him off angrily. Word just came from the branch. There are 7 or 8 more urns in the vault now. Are you trying to turn the bank into a cemetery? Hearing this, cold sweat poured down the director's forehead. He stammered, President, let me explain. But before he finished, the call ended with a sharp click. Staring at the dark phone screen, Director Wu's face was grim enough to drip. He immediately turned around and looked at Manager Ma, who wished he could crawl into a crack in the ground. Manager Ma stumbled in fright. He immediately promised, Director, I'll get to the bottom of this right away. An hour later, the bank building was brightly lit under the night sky, but inside it was a scene of utter gloom. This life is unbearable, exhausted like a dog during the day, and stuck with miserable overtime at night. I'm genuinely terrified. What if, while I'm asleep, some old man suddenly crawls out from under the covers? In a corner of the bank's office area, several employees huddled together, whispering complaints, their faces filled with fear and exhaustion. In the director's office, Director Wu's face was grim, his gaze sharp as a knife. He swept his eyes across the faces of a few staff members in front of him. 7 more. You really are the bank's finest employees. By now, the investigation was complete. It turned out that while he had been busy running around pulling strings and calling in favors, these misfits under his command had let someone slip through the cracks again, stubbornly storing 7 more cremation urns. Director, we've been wrong too. Who could have imagined someone would actually use safe deposit boxes as a cemetery? Several employees, full of grievances, muttered their defenses. Hearing this, Director Wu flew into a rage. You dare to talk back? Did you use that red-headed official document from above to prop up a table leg? After the last incident, I gave repeated orders to strictly prevent any similar occurrence. And now, just a few days later, not 1 or 2, but a full 7. He pointed at them and roared, Are you all blind? Can't you even see what's being stored? You signed the contracts with your eyes closed. The employees were cowed like quails, but their eyes betrayed defiance. After all, who would bother staring at a cremation urn every day? Suddenly, a young female employee in the crowd. He burst into tears. Director, I quit. I'm resigning. As soon as she said this, it triggered a chain reaction. Several younger employees followed suit. As others followed the trend and clamored to leave, Director Wu clutched his chest, gasping and swaying on the spot. Luckily, Manager Ma was quick to react and caught him. Director, calm down. Don't bother getting angry at these youngsters. Get out. All of you, get out. Director Wu panted heavily. His face dark, he trembled as he pointed at the office door. The young employees, as if granted a pardon, turned and fled without a word. The older ones hesitated for a moment, then slowly shuffled out. Director, are you okay? Manager Ma helped him into the executive chair, his face full of concern. Director Wu waved his hand, but he still couldn't catch his breath, unable to utter a complete sentence. Just then, an employee who had run out earlier burst back through the door in panic. Director Wu's heart immediately sank with a sense of foreboding. Manager Ma frantically made faces, but that employee was clearly a hot-headed fool. Completely missing Manager Ma's hint, he said, Director, something terrible has happened. Look at the trending topics. The whole world has blown up out there. The employee held up his phone as he spoke, his voice cracking with excitement. It's not just our bank now. The items found in safe deposit boxes, branches in neighboring counties, and even several major city banks. It's all out, the fact that an urn was stored in a safe deposit box. The internet is in an uproar. The words had barely left his mouth. Director Wu's eyes rolled back, and his body went limp, slumping rigidly in his chair. It's over. The director's been scared to death. That employee was so terrified he jumped on the spot, his shout instantly echoing throughout the entire floor. The next second, the group of employees who had just left came rushing back, crowding around the door, peeking in and whispering, "Looks like he really has no pulse. Might as well send him to the crematorium and burn him while he's still warm." Manager Ma, busy calling 120, felt his temples bulge with rage. "Are you even speaking human language? Even if you've quit, you can't gloat like that. What if the director can still be saved?" 10 minutes later, an ambulance screamed away from the bank entrance. Inside the bank, chaos reigned. The safe deposit boxes were full of cremation urns, employees were quitting en masse, and the boss was in the ICU. This job is totally unworkable. As the ambulance sped off, the absurdity of the incident exploded online. Just 1 day later, multiple bank employees blew the whistle. Ever since the urns were discovered, they felt a chilling draft in the office area. According to inside gossip, 38 banks across the city had been hit, with 217 cremation urns found. The topic "banks turned into cemeteries" instantly set the internet ablaze, with discussions raging non-stop. At the same time, my live stream's popularity skyrocketed. The streamer is a freaking legend. The banks are going crazy. I had just woken up and started streaming, feigning surprise while feeling smug inside. All that scheming to dig up these explosive stories was worth it. Seeing the comments starting to go off track, I quickly put on a serious face and explained, "You can be careless with your food, but not with your words. This has nothing to do with me." Even as I got excited, some viewers couldn't help worrying for me. "Streamer, the bank people definitely won't let this go. You need to be careful." The viewers' concerns were not unfounded. While the online frenzy was in full swing, the atmosphere in the Citibank's meeting room was extremely tense. With such a shocking scandal in their jurisdiction, if not handled properly, the branch manager's position would be at stake. At that moment, a detailed internal investigation report on the storage of the cremation urns was placed on the branch manager's desk. The data was alarming. Of all the 138 branches, 72 were compromised, with a total of 965 cremation urns removed. This was several times worse than the online rumors. The branch manager's face was as black as a pot. His already thinning hair lost a few more strands. "Have the investigation teams been deployed?" the branch manager asked, holding a fallen hair in his palm. "Set up a task force immediately. I want the results within a week." On the sofa opposite, a charming middle-aged woman flicked her hair and broke the silence slowly. "You're rattled. This isn't like you. Actually, you know it too. No matter how big the storm outside, as long as we remain calm and steady, handle the PR properly, the higher-ups won't dig deeper. Your position won't be greatly affected." Hearing this, the branch manager took a deep look at the woman, and his previously tense expression eased slightly. "In my opinion," the woman blew on her nails and added meaningfully, "this incident is no accident. There must be a puppeteer behind it. Maybe look into similar past cases. Find the mole and make an example of them." The branch manager's eyes turned cold, and he nodded heavily. Meanwhile, I remained as steady as a mountain during my livestream. "Viewers, put your hearts at ease. A straight foot is not afraid of a crooked shoe. Why fear any ghosts or monsters? Besides, if the bank acts lawlessly, what does it have to do with me? If people want to store their urns in safety deposit boxes, that's their freedom. Since they took the money and signed the contract in black and white, there's no reason to refuse them. Does the bank think it's above the law, able to break a contract whenever it wants?" While I was going hard on the stream, in the branch office at the heart of the storm, a weary middle-aged man was flipping through documents noisily. Officer Wu had been hospitalized, and this whole mess had fallen on his shoulders as the deputy branch manager. The immediate priority is to deal with those urns and stabilize morale. "Have all those customers been contacted?" The deputy branch manager snapped the file shut, his brow furrowed into a deep frown. In front of his desk, Manager Ma, who was always in lockstep with the former officer, was bowing and scraping. "All the customers have been notified. I've also passed on your instructions, but these people are just playing dumb, dragging their feet without a clear answer." Hearing this, a sharp glint flashed in the deputy branch manager's eyes. Just then, the red landline phone on his desk rang. Manager Ma, knowing when to make himself scarce, tactfully slipped out. A few minutes later, the deputy branch manager pushed the door open and walked out, his face grim and terrifying. "Notify all departments for a full staff meeting at 3 p.m. Anyone who dares to be absent can pack their things and leave." At 3 p.m., the The employees in the meeting room looked as wilted as frosted eggplants. The deputy branch manager swept his gaze across the room and got straight to the point. Everyone involved with the safety deposit box business, stand up. As he spoke, his eyes, sharp as knives, shot toward the middle left area. Hearing this, a dozen or so men and women stood up nervously. Chu Feng, Lu Dali, Wang Xiaoming. The deputy branch manager called out names like the king of hell reading a death list. Those named instantly turned pale as ash, their hearts in their throats. Everyone I didn't name, sit down. 7 or 8 salespeople, as if granted a pardon, quickly sat back down. The remaining 5 stood alone, the awkwardness thick enough to cut with a knife. Seeing this, the deputy branch manager frowned sharply. I called out 7 names, so why are only 5 standing? Who sat down? Get up immediately. The sales team leader hurriedly stood up to explain. 2 of them have already resigned. Very well, the deputy branch manager said with a cold laugh. He pointed at the 5 unlucky ones. Starting now, you're all fired too. At these words, a deathly silence fell over the room. Once it sank in, a male employee in his early 20s was the first to explode. On what grounds? I'm not a temp worker. I have a permanent position. Even if you're the deputy branch manager, you don't have the authority to fire me arbitrarily. However, the deputy branch manager remained unmoved, not even lifting an eyelid. His expression slightly easing, the deputy branch manager looked at the remaining employees and said meaningfully, I heard that recently, some of you have been restless and jumped on the bandwagon to submit resignation letters. Who are they? Stand up and let me see. Everyone exchanged bewildered glances. Then, a dozen or so young faces stood up hesitantly. To everyone's surprise, the deputy branch manager actually chuckled softly, gesturing with his hand. All right, everyone sit down and speak. The crowd murmured. The young man, who they thought was about to be kicked out, stood frozen in place. He grumbled inwardly. What's going on? The bank president's face changed so fast, and way too fast at that. Next, the vice president launched into a big talk mode. In a gentle tone, he promised a bunch of tempting benefits. The young employee was moved to tears by the hype, but the old hands saw right through it. Still, the effect was immediate. By the end of the meeting, not only had they found a scapegoat, but they also reignited the staff's motivation. 10 minutes later, the meeting adjourned. The vice president returned to his office and casually slapped a handwritten document down in front of Manager Ma. After whispering a few instructions, Manager Ma, like he'd been injected with adrenaline, rushed out eagerly. Just half an hour later, the bank's counterattack began. Sharp-eyed netizens noticed that several bank official websites had simultaneously posted a cryptic image. In the picture, a toad was lying on a worn-out shoe. Bystanders were baffled. What kind of move is this? Using a toad as a mascot? Soon after, my die-hard fans also saw that image, and immediately sent it to me via private message. In the live stream room, I opened the full image and looked at it. My face instantly darkened. A toad on a shoe. Doesn't bite, but it's just annoying. This passive-aggressive move really grossed me out. But the annoyance was just the appetizer. The real blow followed right after. The bank's official website then released a formal statement. The tone was tough, stating they would not tolerate malicious provocation. A lawyer's letter had already been sent, and the other party would soon face due punishment. And beneath that statement, major law firms jumped in to express their stance, all singing the same tune, shouting they would never defend the bad guys, and would never serve as a shield for those with ulterior motives. Once that statement was out, the bank took a hard line, and the law firms stood firm. My live stream room was instantly filled with despair. Brother Bei, this is trouble now. The bank and the law firms are in cahoots. How can we win this lawsuit? But I looked into the camera as steady as an old dog, not intimidated at all. Instead, I started calming my fans. Don't panic, guys. I believe the law won't favor one side. Justice lies in people's hearts. Yet fans thought I was putting on a brave face. The law might be fair, but people's hearts are hard to read. On the other end, in the bank office, the vice president and Manager Ma were staring intently at my live stream screen. This clueless kid is Lin Bei, the vice president snorted, pointing at the screen. That's right, it's him. Manager Ma nodded in agreement. The door slammed open. A female employee rushed in frantically. President, big trouble. Court officers are here. So fast? Hearing that, Manager Ma exclaimed in surprise and immediately praised the vice president. President, the court officers being here means the lawsuit process is done. The summons will reach that kid soon. The vice president beamed with joy and couldn't help complimenting. Their efficiency is really top-notch. To deal with this lawless maniac, we have to cut the knot quickly and crush him directly. The two were talking to themselves, completely ignoring the female employee's hesitant and grim expression. Soon after, one tall and one short court officer in uniform walked into the office. The vice president immediately put on a smile and greeted them, offering cigarettes and pouring tea. The court officers were a bit flattered. Normally, delivering a summons never got this treatment. Usually, the front desk just signed and that was it. After exchanging pleasantries, the vice president got straight to the point. Your honored presence means the lawsuit has been approved, right? When's the court date? We'll fully cooperate. But the two officers exchanged glances. The tall one pulled a summons from his briefcase and politely placed it in front of the vice president. The vice president was instantly stunned. The manager's smile also froze on his face. The summons is for us? The vice president asked, bewildered. The tall officer nodded. Yes, it's for your bank. The vice president looked incredulous. Is there a mistake? We're the plaintiffs. Why would a summons be sent to the plaintiff? President Liu, your bank's lawsuit is one thing. What conflict does that have with us delivering a summons? The tall officer explained patiently. Your case is still waiting in line. We're here today because someone has sued your bank. If you have any questions, you can call for consultation or ask us directly now. At these words, the vice president's face turned as colorful as a dye shop. Finally, he stared hard at the summons at the plaintiff column below and said calmly, cooperating is no problem. I can go with you. What's the reason? When Manager Ma heard the name Du Jie, his face changed drastically. He quickly leaned in and whispered something in the vice president's ear. At the same time, I received a call from Du Jie. His voice on the phone carried a hint of smugness. Old classmate, the task you assigned, I've got it handled. So fast? My heart skipped a beat as I fumbled to mute the livestream. Who do you think handled it? Du Jie said proudly. All those twists and turns within the system. I wouldn't expect you to understand. Anyway, it's done. I reckon. The court summons should already be slapping down on the bank's desk. A flicker of joy crossed my face. But sensing this guy was getting a bit full of himself, I quickly reminded him. Old classmate, don't underestimate the enemy. The real fight is in the upcoming lawsuit. Once this is over, I'll definitely treat you to a proper meal. Half an hour later, news of Du Jie suing the bank spread throughout the entire institution. The deputy bank manager called an emergency meeting. Urged on by him, a group of employees united in indignation, all cursing Du Jie as an ungrateful turncoat. The mid to senior leadership in the meeting room were red-faced with rage. The deputy bank manager, however, remained calm, a calculating glint in his eyes. Regarding Du Jie's matter, what are your thoughts? He asked slowly. As soon as he spoke, the meeting room erupted into chaos. The well-dressed corporate elites turned into a shouting marketplace, trashing Du Jie left and right. Manager Ma was the most agitated, practically jumping out of his chair. The deputy bank manager's head was buzzing with noise. He inwardly cursed at these useless teammates. Seeing that no one could come up with anything substantial, the deputy bank manager shook his head, slammed the table, and ordered Manager Ma, go talk to Du Jie. I only want one result. Whatever means you use, Du Jie must drop the lawsuit immediately. Manager Ma looked defiant. Director, are we just letting him off that easily? He signed a temporary worker contract. Even if we breach it, could he really beat us in court? The deputy bank manager waved his hand and said gravely, the bigger picture comes first. The deputy bank manager probably intended to smooth things over for now. As for a clueless temporary worker, there would be plenty of chances to deal with him later. With the strategy set, he didn't waste words and immediately turned to leave and get things done. After Manager Ma left, the meeting room door closed again. The deputy bank manager stared at the remaining people, pondered for a moment, his face turning cold, and finally dropped today's bombshell. Everyone, Du Jie is just a minor hiccup. The real trouble lies ahead. Regarding this batch of cremation urn incidents, the city branch investigation team has already done a preliminary check. He paused, his voice ominously low. Currently, across all levels of branches including the city branch itself, a total of 72 bank sub-branches, 965 cremation urns have been stuffed into safety deposit boxes. This result clearly points to someone pulling strings behind the scenes. Their goal is obvious. First, to use these disgusting tactics to intimidate the bank. Second, to use these underhanded methods to exact insane revenge on the entire banking system. The crowd was stunned speechless. A single name popped into everyone's minds simultaneously. It seems you've all guessed who the mastermind is. The deputy bank manager's face was dark enough to drip water. That's right, it's that Lin Bei. The cremation urn incident started with him. A few senior executives slammed the table in fury. This is outright criminal, inciting the public to cause massive losses to the bank. He must be sent to prison. Not only do we need to arrest that bastard, but those who deposited the urns can't escape either. They're all accomplices. Arrest them all. Fueled by collective rage, the meeting made an immediate decision to publicly report to the police and issue a stern statement on the official website. Everyone must see the bank's uncompromising stance. The meeting adjourned, and everyone dispersed. The deputy bank manager remained alone in the conference room, making several phone calls in succession. As the responses came through, his tightly furrowed brows gradually relaxed, and a relieved, sinister smile finally crept across his lips. A few minutes later, he straightened his collar and left the bank in haste. On the other side, the atmosphere in my live stream was oppressive. Fans were still sighing deeply. Streamer, just give it up. Discretion is the better part of valor when fighting the establishment. Us ordinary folks bowing to the bank is nothing to be ashamed of. It's too late to back down now. The matter has blown up this big. For the sake of its reputation, the bank isn't going to let the streamer off easy. The live stream comments were scrolling frantically, reflecting the fans' anxious mood. But I, the one at the center, wasn't panicking. What are you all panicking for? I set down my teacup and calmly reassured them. Brothers, don't lose your cool. The tighter the spot, the steadier we need to stay. This time the bank teamed up with a law firm to pull some tricks, clearly trying to block my path to finding a lawyer. But does that mean I can't find one just because they try to stop me? Don't forget, brothers, I know a thing or two about civil law myself. Even if I end up without a lawyer, so what? No lawyer, I'll do it myself. I'll defend myself. After that, I gave the folks in the live stream another round of civil law education. Old fans already knew I knew the law, and seeing me so confident, they were all thrilled. The comments flooded with 666. But in the middle of that peaceful sea of comments, a few harsh ones suddenly popped up. You still have the nerve to show off here? Go check the town bank's official website right now. Next second, the live stream's popularity instantly fluctuated. Then my hardcore fans directly sent me a link with a note, Bei Gu, this time you're really in deep trouble. I lazily clicked on the link. The moment I saw it, my heart skipped a beat. These bastards, why are they getting so worked up? On the bank's official website, in the latest announcement section, a solemn statement was prominently displayed, naming names and saying, a guy from Shandong maliciously deposited an urn into a safe deposit box. But what really blew the viewers' minds in the statement was the bold line at the bottom. Our bank has reported Ling and his accomplices to the police. The public security authorities have officially filed the case and will pursue criminal liability according to law. With this statement out, all those hundreds of guys who deposited urns in safe deposit boxes were, in the bank's words, my accomplices I tricked. And my name, for the first time as a criminal suspect, went viral across the internet. My face tensed as I stared at the statement. The bank pinned the labels on me, misleading the public, misappropriating resources, causing disturbances. A bunch of criminal law charges came rushing at me. Criminal law. A flicker of panic flashed in my eyes. This completely hit my blind spot of knowledge. I had been studying civil law, preparing for a civil lawsuit against the bank. But the bank, playing dirty, directly upped the ante and switched to criminal law. The key issue was there was no time to learn it from scratch. Feeling anxious and flustered, I had no heart for the live stream in the afternoon. I made up an excuse and quickly went offline. After shutting down the equipment, I paced around the room in panic. System, Dad, I need emergency help. Can you give me some support? A cold mechanical voice immediately replied, this system does not support getting something for nothing. Then, the mission panel popped up, and the system issued an urgent mission. Mission 1, within 3 hours, go to the local radio station entrance and shout, I am a pervert 100 times. Mission 2, within 1 hour, run naked for 100 meters at home. Mission reward, full mastery of criminal law knowledge. I slapped my forehead in utter frustration, seriously suspecting this system was making a fool of me. But hearing the faint sound of police sirens from outside the window, I gritted my teeth and said, I choose option 2. As soon as the words left my mouth, ignoring all shame, I stripped off completely and started sprinting around the living room. A minute later, slightly out of breath, I picked up the clothes scattered all over the floor and put them back on. Though the small living room limited my performance, at least it was done. Deep in my mind, a crisp notification sound suddenly rang out. Congratulations, host, for completing the mission. Reward, permanent criminal law encyclopedia experience card, 1 use. Then, a massive stream of information instantly flooded my mind. My anxious heart finally settled. With this on my side, I became the infamous Zhang San, the criminal outside the law who makes every felon tremble. Just then, a knock came at the door. The rhythm was fast and forceful. I opened the door to find several stern-faced police officers in uniform, from Lin Bei City, right? The lead officer's eyes were sharp, sizing me up. I calmly nodded, silently activating the experience card in my mind, my expression unruffled as I stepped aside. Yes, that's me. Is there something? The leader waved a hand, not meaning to step inside. Someone reported you for inciting the public, allegedly organizing illegal appropriation of state resources. We're now legally summoning you. Come with us. With that, the officer beside him instinctively reached for the handcuffs at his waist. I shouted sharply, cutting off their actions. The leader's face instantly darkened, a cold glint flashing in his eyes. The officers behind him immediately tensed up. The atmosphere was tense. Slowly, I adjusted my collar. He calmly said, "Cooperating is no problem. I can go with you. But before I step out, I have the right to request to see the relevant evidence, or please show me a formal arrest warrant. This is the most basic legal right granted to me as a citizen of Dragon Country." Upon hearing this, the 4 police officers outside the door exchanged bewildered looks, clearly not expecting to encounter someone who knew the law. Standing inside the door, I continued in a steady tone, "Officers, criminal law follows the principle of presumption of innocence and emphasizes a complete chain of evidence. If you have solid evidence, bring an arrest warrant, and I'll buy my own ticket to the station for a chat without you lifting a finger. But if you try to take someone without evidence, that's a procedural violation. If law enforcement itself leads by violating procedures, where is the dignity of the law?" I stared straight at the team leader, standing my ground. Suspicion is not a conviction, and you can't just listen to one side. Since someone reported me, let them provide solid proof. If they can't produce evidence and only talk, that's shameless. That amounts to the crime of false accusation. Comrades, the person you should really be arresting is the one who made a false report wasting police resources, not me. The team leader, flushed red by this barrage, finally squeezed out after a long pause. "Cooperating with a police investigation is the duty of every citizen." Seeing their momentum falter, I pressed on. "You have no evidence and no paperwork. Are you sure you want to forcibly take me? Watch your words. We're lawfully giving you a verbal summons to assist with an investigation." The team leader tried to bluff, but his voice wavered. Seeing this, I curled my lips slightly, revealing a playful smile, and said slowly, "Officer, the nature of this is different. Did you even do a background check before coming? I'm the kind of person who naturally loves to split hairs. Recently, my relationship with the bank has been strained. Don't you people go online? Haven't you seen the trending topic about stuffing an urn into a bank-safe deposit box? That was my doing. The bank, furious, sued me, and I'm also preparing to sue the bank. You all should know the ins and outs of this, right?" As soon as these words were spoken, a few police officers' expressions shifted slightly, exchanging glances with sudden realization. "So you're that hotshot online?" The team leader stiffened his face, trying to regain the upper hand. "Stop twisting the argument. How would I dare?" I spread my hands with an innocent look. "I'm just stating the facts. If you arrest me unlawfully, I'll definitely be upset about it later, and I might accidentally take the police station to court and apply for administrative review." The team leader's eyes turned cold and his tone icy. "Are you openly threatening police officers? Don't casually pin such a label on me. That accusation is too heavy for me to bear." I replied with a straight face, serious and solemn. "The new era is great because everyone respects the law. Who would dare to act arrogantly with privilege?" Seeing my attitude, the team leader was about to lose his temper when the young officer behind him hurriedly tugged at his sleeve. "Captain, this kid has some guts, and besides, we don't have a summons on hand. Forcibly taking him would give people ammunition. This hot potato, better let the bank deal with it themselves." The team leader snorted coldly, giving me a vicious glare, and finally said no more. With a wave of his hand, he turned and led his men to retreat. With a bang, as the door lock clicked shut, my forcibly straight back instantly slumped, cold sweat streaming down my temples. Playing a game of wits with the police is like walking a tightrope. It's all about the thrill. Who wouldn't be nervous? Thankfully, these officers still followed the rules. Otherwise, I'd be in for a torture session today. Half an hour later, having eaten and drunk my fill, I started the live stream again. By now, the live room still had a few thousand loyal fans holding on, probably thinking I was in jail sewing. The screen suddenly lit up, showing my big face. Many fans jumped in shock. "Holy crap, streamer, how did you get out? Hurry up and turn yourself in. It might save you a few years in prison." In contrast, the haters' comments were much more venomous. "What the heck? A criminal dares to stream? The police are so inefficient. The chaotic and toxic barrage made my expression turn grim. It had been less than an hour since I went offline, and all kinds of troublemakers had already emerged. Moderators, don't ban anyone yet. Fellow fans, pause the drama. Let me say a few words. I first calmed down my own fans, then coldly swept my eyes over those hateful barrage comments. Brothers, sorry for startling you, but it's all over now. It was just a misunderstanding. I've already explained everything to the police, so even if the bank tries to make an issue out of calling the cops again, no one will come to bother me anymore. The moment I said this, a brief vacuum appeared in the comment section, followed by an even crazier barrage of scrolling messages. A dead duck's beak is still hard. You won't shed tears until you see the coffin. Who are you trying to fool? How long has it been since you went offline? You think the police station is your backyard garden? Just then, the backup phone on my side vibrated several times. I looked down and saw a few messages someone had sent. The moment I read the content, my originally relaxed expression instantly turned serious. Guys, there's an emergency. I have to go out immediately. The bank calling the police was my miscalculation, but a few buddies who followed me to store the urn got arrested. I need to check on them. With that said, I directly switched to outdoor live streaming mode on my phone, grabbed my coat and headed out. Seeing I was actually going outside, the barrage comments finally settled down a bit. Everyone was spamming asking who I was going to meet. After sitting in the taxi, I explained solemnly to the camera, the person I'm going to meet today you should still remember. It's that brother who appeared on live stream last time. His name is Li Dong, a poor soul working as a brick carrier at a brick factory. His wife is blind, and they have a son just starting elementary school. Not long ago, his old father passed away. The family is dirt poor and couldn't afford a cemetery burial. At this moment, I couldn't bother interacting with the barrage. I put away my phone and strode inside. Are you Uncle Lin? Just as I entered the lobby, a little boy holding a woman's hand timidly blocked my way. Clearly, they had been waiting for a while. The kid was chubby-faced and looked just over 10 years old. He spoke earnestly, with a heartbreaking sense of maturity. The woman beside him looked nervous, her eyes completely white and startlingly prominent. Obviously, this was Li Dong's blind wife. It's me. You're Li Dong's family, right? I tried to make my voice sound gentler. Don't worry, sister-in-law. Now that I'm here, I won't let anything happen to Li Dong. The woman's eyes were red, clearly having cried heavily. She opened her mouth emotionally but only managed a few sobs. The little boy looked up, put on a serious face, and bowed to me earnestly. Thank you, uncle. My heart ached. I patted his head, then led the mother and son straight into the police station building. As soon as I entered, I ran into an acquaintance, the captain who had led the team to arrest me at my home before. Officer, what a coincidence. We meet again. I greeted him with a teasing smile. The captain froze, his face instantly filled with vigilance and disgust. What are you doing at the police station? You're still live streaming? Who allowed you to film at a law enforcement agency? This is outrageous. Turn it off. With that, he strode over and reached for my phone. I stepped back to protect it and said sternly, Officer, please show some restraint. Seizing someone else's private property is illegal, and I am exercising my citizen's right to oversight. As an enforcer, breaking the law yourself, does that seem appropriate? The captain's movement froze. Then he became furious. Lin Bei, stop your nonsense here. Believe it or not, I'll charge you with obstructing official duties. As he spoke, several officers who heard the commotion poked their heads out to look. I remained calm, turned back to reassure the frightened mother and son, then straightened up. With piercing eyes, I scanned the surrounding police officers and spoke confidently. Obstructing justice is mainly divided into 9 categories. First, perjury. Second, aiding in the destruction or fabrication of evidence. Third, harboring or covering up criminals. Fourth, concealing or disguising criminal proceeds. A string of professional legal terms rained down, leaving the officers stunned. I suddenly stopped and stared at the captain. Officer, may I ask, exactly which one of those did my actions just now constitute? Just then, a middle-aged man in plain clothes, with a powerful aura, walked over. He clearly was a leader. What are you all gathered here for? Are all your tasks finished? The officers scattered instantly, and that captain also slunk away with the crowd, still muttering curses under his breath. As the crowd dispersed, my gaze naturally fell on the middle-aged man. Young man, I'm the director of this police station. Are you here for some official business? The middle-aged man glanced at the live stream camera and smiled amiably. I immediately shifted to a formal attitude. Hello, director. I will never wrong a good person, but I will never let a single bad person off the hook. The first part was polite, but the last sentence was very firm and meaningful. I looked at him calmly. I said in a deep voice, "My friend is Li Dong. I can say with certainty that he hasn't violated any laws. This arrest is purely a misunderstanding." The director rolled his eyes at me in annoyance. But with the live stream camera present, he couldn't lose his temper, so he turned to instruct his subordinate. "Go verify the situation." Then he instantly switched back to a kind and friendly mode, saying to Li Dong's family, "Are you too the family? Don't be afraid. Law enforcement agencies act with fairness and justice." An hour later, Li Dong's family and I had been invited into the director's office. I was holding a disposable paper cup, legs crossed, deep in a discussion with this police chief about the finer points of criminal law. The chief's smile was frozen stiff. Li Dong's wife and child sat on the sofa by the door, utterly lost. Just then, when Yuan knocked and entered, the chief repeated himself, quickly changing the subject. "How's the situation? Chief, what's the status?" When Yuan spoke rapidly, reporting Li Dong's case details. Without pause, the chief listened, growing frustrated. "The 5 Phoenix Bank safe deposit. I'm going home." The chief nodded reluctantly, grabbed the phone on his desk, and dialed. Within a few minutes, an officer led in a dejected Li Dong. As the family of 3 reunited, they instantly burst into tears and hugged tightly. I felt a warm satisfaction. This messy affair hadn't been for nothing. The chief beside me had no such sentiment. His face was full of impatience as he waved them off. "All right, since it's a misunderstanding, hurry up and leave. The station's busy, I've got a meeting." "Not so fast." I suddenly spoke up, stopping the chief who was about to see them out. "Something else?" The chief's face darkened, his voice holding back anger. I rubbed my hands, a little embarrassed. "I need to trouble you once more, leader. Actually, I have another friend." The chief stared at me expressionlessly, his gaze cold as ice. I coughed dryly and continued on my own. "That friend is called Zhang Lei, same situation as Li Dong. Also because of storing an urn." The chief took a deep breath, as if afraid he'd lose his temper. He waved his hand directly to cut me off. "If it's the same kind of case, release them all at once." Half an hour later, under the disgusted stares of a bunch of officers, I led a motley crew of brothers out of the police station gate. "Brothers, we're all out now, but that bank is bombarding us non-stop, insisting I take the urn back. They're even threatening to sue if I don't." The others immediately got riled up, chiming in. Yeah, the guy who called me said the same thing. "If we don't get the urns out, we'll owe hundreds of thousands in penalties. If we had that kind of money, we'd have bought a prime burial plot long ago. Why suffer through this?" Everyone buzzed with discussion, then turned to me in unison. Having just witnessed what I did, I was now their backbone. My face remained calm, my tone resolute. "Everyone, don't panic. So, storing the urns is perfectly reasonable. The bank has no say and no right to kick us out. I'll put it out there. As long as you don't cave, no one can do a thing to you. Even if it goes to court, it's the bank that should be paying damages." I paused there, then continued earnestly, "And speaking from the heart, where else can we send our ancestors except the bank's safe deposit boxes? Our elders struggled their whole lives. Are they supposed to have no peace, even after they're gone?" This struck a nerve with everyone. They hung their heads in shame, but anger burned in their eyes. "Yeah, it's not illegal. Why should we be pushed around by the bank? To give our ancestors a stable resting place, why not fight the bank all the way?" Someone even shouted, "Let's just stay in the bank forever. They dare to scatter my dad's ashes? Let them try." I sensed the conversation turning dangerous, and out of the corner of my eye I saw a few cops walking our way. I quickly gestured to calm down. "Everyone, rest assured I'll handle this urn matter. But remember, we're protecting our rights. Do you know what that means? If not, go home and look it up online. Let's not cause trouble for the police officers." Just then, I felt a tug on my pant leg. I looked down. It was Li Dong's kid. The little boy looked up seriously. "Uncle, you're a hero." I ruffled his prickly crew cut, my nose starting to sting. In the live stream, effects exploded instantly, from rockets to little stars, a dense rain of gifs completely covering the comments. "That kid's school uniform is washed white. It's heartbreaking. Here's a rocket. Streamer, buy him some new clothes for me. I'll chip in too. Buy some fruit to share with everyone. Watching the screen full of love, I smiled, a warmth rising in my heart. I glanced at the dashboard. In just a few minutes, earnings had passed 10,000. If the fans could be so generous, how could I lag behind? To be honest, riding this earn wave, I'd already made a good amount recently. Using part of the earnings to help everyone out is quite reasonable, so I decided to act on it. After saying goodbye to the group, I turned around and found a small, out-of-the-way branch, standing in front of the ATM. I inserted the card and entered the password in one smooth motion. 2 crisp beeps sounded. The cash slot didn't budge, and the screen clearly showed, transaction cancelled. I tried a few more times. Same result every time. What a piece of junk. I slapped the machine. I turned and walked straight to the teller counter. Behind the glass, a young female teller took my card. Without looking up, she mechanically asked, "What business?" "Withdraw 20,000. I gestured with my hand. Her fingers flew across the keyboard, then she pushed the PIN pad out. I quickly entered my password. The teller stared at the screen with a strange expression and glanced at me. "Your card has been frozen." "What?" My heart sank. A moment's thought, no need to guess it was the bank's doing. Thinking that, I put my card away coldly. Good thing I had a backup plan and transferred some money to Dujia earlier. Otherwise, I wouldn't even afford a meal, let alone help anyone. The more I thought about it, the angrier I got. First canceling the contract, now freezing my account. It's just too much. Out of the bank, I immediately called Dujia. "Hey, old classmate, where are you? Come meet up, and bring the money I left with you." Dujia's puzzled voice came through the phone. "What's up? Short on cash." I suppressed my anger and replied, "My account was frozen." Dujia exclaimed, "You called it exactly. Were you a fortune teller in a past life?" I sighed. I expected this. Freezing accounts is the only move they've got. True. Dujia agreed wholeheartedly. He'd also watched the live stream from the police station earlier. With that solid knowledge of criminal law, anyone would think you're some gold medal lawyer. Half an hour later, at the Fatty Lamb Hotpot restaurant, Dujia and I sat facing each other. After a bit of small talk, Dujia pulled a stack of cash from his bag and slapped it on the table. "Here's all the money. Old classmate, count it." I glanced at it, grabbed it, and stuffed it into my pocket without bothering to count. Seeing that, Dujia's eyes were full of being trusted. His face flushed slightly, and he said boldly, "Enough. If not, I can chip in more. Come on, drop the act." I rolled my eyes, not bothering to humor him. I just took that as talk. If you really wanted to help, you'd just hand over the cash. Why so much chatter? Dujia looked awkward. The live stream audience burst into laughter. After boiling a few slices of meat, Dujia suddenly changed the subject. "By the way, the bank contacted me. They said if you drop the lawsuit, you can name your terms." Dujia shook his head with disdain. "Who gave them the guts to let me name terms? Aren't they afraid of talking big?" I was a little stunned. I quickly muted the live stream. Didn't expect the bank to react so fast, actually backing down. I nodded, then shook my head. "I know you want to help, but let's keep things separate. Your issue is a minor dispute. If you blow it up for me and make your family enemies with the bank, that would be a loss." Dujia looked confused. "What do you mean?" I smirked slyly. "Rather than going for broke, we might as well squeeze them hard." Seeing Dujia didn't get it, I crooked my finger for him to lean in. "In your contract, isn't there a clear clause?" After a whisper, Dujia was completely stunned. He stared at me in disbelief, eyes wide. Seven million? Would the bank really give that?" I shrugged. "If they don't, we keep pushing. If they do, you pocket 7 million for free. Either way, you lose nothing, right?" Dujia immediately gave me a thumbs up. "Man, your brain works fast." I smiled and shook my head. Then I lowered my voice. "Oh, and one more thing. I remember you mentioned last time that you have a cousin who works as a secretary for the boss at Changxing Construction Company." In the live stream, the audience saw me and my old classmate playing a scene, especially Dujia's sly grin at the end. A bunch of fans got very curious. After dinner, I parted ways with my old classmate and went to find Li Dong and the others. I didn't have much money on me, only 10,000 total. I didn't say much either. He only briefly explained that they were from fans, then gave each of them 1,000 yuan. Meanwhile, in the branch office, the deputy manager hung up a call with a livid face. "A bunch of useless idiots," he muttered, and a delicate teapot was smashed to pieces on the floor. A staff member came in to check on the noise and was immediately coldly scolded out. He sat on the leather sofa, shaking with rage. Just now, an acquaintance from the police station had called and told him that Lin Bei hadn't been arrested, and those who had stored the urn with him had also been released. This news nearly drove him mad. He had originally hoped to use arrests to pressure me and earn people into backing down. Now, it was obvious the police couldn't be relied on. The deputy manager frowned in thought for a moment, still unwilling to give up, so he picked up his phone. Hesitated for a moment, then dialed a number. After a few seconds, the call connected. "Old Gu, what wind has blown you to me?" The deputy manager laughed heartily. "You, Old Wong, are busy with 1,000 matters. Without something important, I wouldn't dare disturb you." The person on the other end also let out a laugh. "Old Gu, business is business, personal is personal. What? In your impression of me, am I that unreasonable?" After a round of pleasantries, the other end sounded chaotic, as if very busy. So he urged, "Old Gu, if you have something to say it quickly. I have an emergency meeting coming up." Hearing this, the deputy manager quickly stated his purpose. "It's like this. Recently, our bank has run into some trouble. Someone deliberately stored an urn in our vault. I want to ask you to send a few people to detain those individuals for a few days." "Nonsense." Upon hearing this, the person on the other end exploded in anger. "You're asking me to abuse my authority. Is my political integrity, Wong's, so worthless in your eyes? Old Gu, listen to me clearly. Don't bother me with this kind of crap again in the future. Otherwise, don't blame me for showing no regard for our past ties." With that click, the call ended. The deputy manager stood there, face full of embarrassment but eyes burning with rage. Suddenly, a knock came at the door. The deputy manager quickly composed himself, putting on a stern expression. "Manager, secretary from Chongqing CEO is here." A subordinate reported from the doorway. The deputy manager's expression changed. He hurriedly asked, "Where is he now?" "Vice Manager Li is entertaining him in the VIP room." Not daring to delay, the deputy manager quickly left the office and headed to the VIP room. Chongqing Construction was the town's largest enterprise in terms of assets, spanning real estate, supermarkets, hotels, agricultural markets, and other pillar industries, with total assets exceeding 1 billion. And Du Chunggong, chairman of Chongqing Construction, had firmly held the title of richest man in Shishui town for over a decade. In several major industries in the town, he was a deity to be worshipped. So even though it was just a secretary, the deputy manager still took it very seriously. A few minutes later, the deputy manager hurried into the VIP room. As soon as he entered, he saw a slack-jawed young man holding a selfie stick, filming everything around him. The deputy manager's face darkened. Ever since learning that Lin Bei was a streamer, he hated that profession the most. "Are you Secretary Du from Chongqing?" The deputy manager frowned and asked. He had met Du Chunggong's secretary before. She was a very steady woman. Definitely not this punk-like young man in front of him. Seeing the deputy manager enter, the young man immediately propped the selfie stick on the table and said with a grin, "My uncle's previous secretary went home to prepare for pregnancy, so I'm filling in temporarily." "So you're a direct relative." The deputy manager suddenly understood, dismissed the accompanying vice manager Li, and sized up the young man. "Young Master Du, young as you are, being so valued by CEO Du means limitless prospects. No doubt with your assistance, CEO Du's career will thrive and reach new heights. I feel like someone's insulting me." Du Jie's face darkened, and he glared as he said, "Are you the manager? Deputy manager?" The deputy manager put on a polished smile and pulled out a chair to sit down. Du Jie waved his hand and said casually, "Manager or deputy, as long as you're level with me, it's fine. I came today for two things." He raised two fingers. "First, to let you know that from today, Chongqing's business dealings with your bank." Seeing the deputy manager's fake demeanor, Du Jie smirked mischievously. "Second, to inform you that today I'm transferring all of Chongqing's money out of here." The live stream audience burst out laughing. This was simply too vicious. The manager was definitely going to lose it. At this moment, I was lurking on a secondary account, watching the deputy manager's humiliated expression, and couldn't help laughing out loud. After hearing Du Jie's words, the deputy manager's smile froze on his face. "Young Master Du, this joke is no laughing matter." "Who's joking with you?" Du Jie sneered. "Today, I've come specifically to withdraw the funds." Seeing Du Jie's attitude, the deputy manager's face turned cold. "Sorry. Chongqing's funds cannot be touched without CEO Du's personal presence." Du Jie let out a cold laugh and directly dialed a call, handing the phone to the deputy manager. The voice of Du Chunggong came through the line. "Old Gu, my secretary should have explained it to you. The company has a major project that urgently needs funds. You need to cooperate with my secretary immediately. Transfer all the money in the account to the new account he provided, President Du." The deputy bank manager stammered, hesitating to speak. On the other end of the line, Du Chunggong had already seen the bank's fund statement that I had someone deliver to him. The record of 50 million being transferred out a few months ago was particularly glaring. Now, listening to the hesitation on the other end, his voice suddenly turned cold. "Old Gu, don't make things difficult for me." The deputy bank manager broke into a cold sweat upon hearing this. "President Du, your deposits are of course accessible at any time, but the bank is currently in a bit of a situation. Stop feeding me that bullshit." Before he could finish, Du Chunggong cut him off. "I only have one request. I want to see the money in my account before sunset, Old Gu. We've known each other for years, so you should know my temper." After hanging up, Du Chunggong stared grimly at the statement on the desk and let out a cold laugh. "Bastard. Daring to touch my money. Sooner or later, I'll make you spit it all back with interest." In the VIP room, seeing the phone handed back, Du Jie chuckled and pulled another piece of paper from his bag. He slapped it in front of the deputy bank manager. "This is the receiving account. Keep it safe." The deputy bank manager stared blankly at the paper. Seeing Du Jie turn to leave, he suddenly snapped back to his senses and called out, "Strong Rise has no new project development recently, and its cash flow is ample. Why the sudden need to withdraw all deposits today?" Du Jie lifted his phone stand and aimed it at his face. "What did your bank do? Don't you have a clue in your own mind? If you dared to embezzle depositors' funds without authorization, you should have expected this day would come." Inside the live stream room, fans who had witnessed the entire process erupted instantly, with bullet comments going wild. The reporters outside, reporting on the mysterious disappearance of depositors' funds. So this was the dirty trick. On the other side, watching this scene, I felt a surge of satisfaction. I had arranged for Du Jie to go there. That fund statement was also something I had leaked to Du Chunggong ahead of time, all for this very moment. After sending off that nuisance Du Jie, the entire bank lobby instantly turned into a mess. Everyone knew the sky was falling. With the embezzlement scandal exposed, the senior management would definitely be in deep trouble. In the meeting room, the air was thick with smoke. The managers and their deputies huddled together, each wearing a gloomy expression. The deputy bank manager at the head of the table had long lost his usual authority. He spoke weakly. "Manager Song, stop playing dumb. Give us the statistical results." Manager Song slowly stood up upon hearing this. "The 50 million previously borrowed from Strong Rise, the investment department has already applied for redemption. But it will take at least a week for the funds to arrive. Currently, the bank's available liquidity is only 11 million, still short 39 million to fill the 50 million hole." After hearing this, the deputy bank manager gritted his teeth and ordered, "I'll find a way to cover the funding gap, but someone has to take responsibility for this media storm." The deputy bank manager's expression instantly softened. "Team leader Zhao, talk to your people. Make sure it's handled cleanly." "Understood." Team leader Zhao got the hint. He nodded emphatically. The deputy bank manager's gaze swept over everyone grimly. "Remember, we need them to agree willingly. Don't leave any loose ends." 3 days later, following the Ashes Earn incident, the bank was hit by another scandal that day. The well-known blogger Little Blue Dragon released a special investigative episode, digging deep into the mystery of the bizarre disappearance of depositors' funds. The bank issued an emergency announcement overnight, claiming it was purely a temporary employee, Chow, acting alone in violation of regulations, unrelated to the bank. Immediately after, the so-called informed team leader at the bank leaked to the media that this temporary employee was not a first-time offender, and the amount involved could be as high as hundreds of millions. Fortunately, it was discovered in time, and the flow of funds has been tracked. They are making every effort to recover it. The suspect, Chow, has been taken into custody and has confessed to the unauthorized misappropriation of deposits. The bank then promised to severely punish the offender without leniency, and to properly handle the aftermath, restoring a safe and reliable financial environment for depositors. Although the bank put on a righteous and unshirkable front, the course of events clearly did not go as they had anticipated. Unlike the Ashes Earn farce, this scandal touched the depositors' bottom line, igniting online outrage instantly. My live stream room was especially lively, although the leaked internal video from Du Jie's day had been restricted and blocked by some mysterious force. Under the relay efforts of fans, it had already gone viral across the internet. Everyone knew there was a bold streamer who had exposed the bank's embezzlement scandal. Just half an hour after I started streaming, the live stream room's popularity soared to 2 million. The number of online viewers broke 100,000. New netizens flocked in to pay their respects, eager to see the real face of this bold man, who dared to touch the tiger's head. Old fans enthusiastically recounted his glorious feats of storing ashes and storming the police station, drawing gasps of amazement from the newcomers. I sat in front the camera with a beaming face, casually playing related hot topic videos. In the video, the interviewed bank executive was none other than that deputy bank manager who had appeared before. On camera, the deputy manager wore a look of righteousness. The reporter cooperated seamlessly. The core message of the entire interview was just one. The bank was also a victim in this incident. All the blame eventually fell solely on Lin Shigong, but everyone knew. Under the bank's strict supervision, how could a mere Lin Shigong embezzle huge sums without anyone noticing? Netizens started joking, "It's Lin Shigong again. I want to apply for the job too. Grab a small goal and go abroad to enjoy life sounds great. Boss, what do you think?" Facing the fans' questions and jokes in the barrage, I just smiled without saying a word. This setup with the new department lately, I'm not just trying to annoy them. I want the bank to feel a pain that cuts deep. Brothers, stay calm. The real show is yet to come. Under the camera close-up, a meaningful smile curled at the corner of my mouth. That mysterious smile drove the fans in the live stream wild with curiosity. Meanwhile, at the branch, after seeing off the last batch of annoying reporters, the vice president's tense nerves finally relaxed. This public opinion storm was no joke. The higher-ups had scolded him harshly, and the funding gap was a nightmare. Just 3 days of torment seemed to have aged him 10 years, leaving him unsteady on his feet. But thankfully, in the end, Lin Shigong took all the blame. Based on his past experience, if he just let the public opinion cool down by staying low-key, this storm would soon blow over. But he clearly celebrated too early. He had just sat down and lit a cigarette when a violent knock came at the door. Startled, the vice president jerked his hand, dropping the cigarette but onto his leather shoe, sending up sparks. The next second, a panicked bank clerk burst in. "President, something terrible has happened. Several major clients have come to withdraw money. Please come quickly." At this moment in the VIP room, a few wealthy individuals in expensive clothes and with an air of distinction were shouting at the bank clerks. When they saw the vice president enter, the rich men immediately surrounded him. "Old Gu, what does your bank mean by this? I came to withdraw money from my account, and you tell me I can't do it now. Did your bank use our money for investments? Get someone to handle my business right now, or I'll have my lawyer sue you." While Old Gu was up to his ears in trouble at the branch, several other banks in the city also saw large-scale collective withdrawals by VIP clients. The bank's top management immediately took it very seriously, mobilizing reserves to calm the clients while also locking down all channels for information leaks. However, there were always some resourceful netizens online. Less than an hour after the incident, relevant news had already appeared on several major platforms and was pushed to the top of trending searches. The next day, the banks involved all released statements on their official websites with roughly the same content. Due to a supervisory oversight, depositor funds had been misappropriated, and they would immediately investigate the involved parties and recover the money. The bank system would be upgraded for 3 days, during which large deposit and withdrawal services would be suspended, requiring advance applications. Beneath this very inconspicuous statement, there were a few more lines in tiny font. Netizens had to squint to read what those words said. They listed the personal information of the individuals involved. After some digging by interested parties, it turned out that, in multiple banks' deposit misappropriation cases, all the culprits were temporary employees. Netizens mocked the banks, and temporary employee became a new meme online. Many netizens were also curious about how much the banks had lost. So the bank financial reports, which nobody usually paid attention to, suddenly became the focus of the internet. At the same time, in my livestream room, many fans were clamoring to see the latest bank financial reports. I had no choice but to look it up online. As a result, the big banks' latest financial reports showed that once the bank trust crisis emerged, the public didn't let it slide. At 8:50 a.m. 1 week later, 10 minutes before the major banks were set to release their financial report data, I had just crawled out of bed, didn't even wipe the sleep from my eyes, and sat upright in front of the computer, fully alert. My loyal fan army had already gathered in advance, packing the live stream room to the brim. As the countdown to the broadcast hit 0, the online viewer count instantly shot up to 200,000, and the popularity topped the platform's charts. In front of the camera, without a word, I opened the browser and went straight to the bank's official website, quickly refreshing to the latest financial report. Ignoring all the long-winded official jargon, I scrolled the mouse directly to the core data column. The data was shocking. The bank's operating revenue for this month was negative 45.775 billion yuan, with a net loss of 7.513 billion yuan. Both revenue and net profit were negative. Damn, revenue negative 45 billion? How many people withdrew money from Bank X? I'll confess first, I only took out 3,000 from my hidden savings. Get lost, you poor guy upstairs. I took out a full 100,000. I'm not rich. I just casually withdrew 20 million. Stop bragging. Look at you. Do you even have millions in deposits? Not only did Bank X's revenue tank, but the